Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to break down the New Zealand dollar, okay? What's going
Okay.
on, what I did, and we'll just take it from there. So, I explained in the previous video that New Zealand dollar has come down, found support here, right?
Yeah.
And I explained, while it was unfolding, how price was above the weekly open. So I'll mark out the weekly open quickly. The open is 73,559. 73,559. Okay. Now another thing I use, which I learned from WMD, this guy called WMD, you know that guy, is using Friday's close as the weekly open. So Friday's close comes in here. So the close is 73,462. So let me mark that out. 73. 462, and I'll do that in blue. Now I tend to use both, but I start off with using the initial one I showed you, and I'll mark out the Friday's close as well, and I'll see throughout the week which support and resistance, which one is showing better support and resistance. The way it's looking, I mean, for this pair, it varies for me between pairs as well. Sometimes one works better, sometimes the other works better. So I thought initially this morning this was holding better and throughout the week, but I'll have both marked out. So I'm gonna go over what's happened so far. So if we go to the H1, I explained in the previous video where we've got this here. So this led to obviously what the stop rate, down, and pushed back up, which showed that was a quick stop rate. What I don't like is I really thought once we took out this high here, we were gonna gain momentum. Now obviously I'll go over Aussie New Zealand, and you can see why they're holding Kiwi and letting Aussie rip because of Aussie New Zealand. But let's just go over anyway what's happened. So I tried to get long yesterday, and it just tripped me out by a tick, and then it rallied, but that's fine. So I thought, okay, for confirmation purposes, I'll let price move above this high here, nice, and then a retest down, I'll get on board. So I've tried to do that now. So we can see, I mean, if we go, we can see price holding this block here as support.
Saw that.
6. So let me just get that back. Okay, support, and then it's come down and then moved away. So price shouldn't go below here now, because it's come down, taken out the stops from here, and it's formed a block, and it's moved away. So this was where the next institutional buying was, whatever you want to call it, support. So they should really
with a big move up.
Yep. So that just shows when it's a big move up from like that, and it shows this buyers come in. So if price is going to come down again, it shouldn't go below this. So what we'll do is mark our 50%. That's like a threshold of how far we're allowing it to go. So if I mark out that, so the high is
when you draw the 50% of that block, do you include the wicks in that, or just the body of the candle?
It varies. Sometimes I'll do both, but I'll do both. Sometimes it just varies. It's there's no black and white way of doing it. Ideally I do the bodies, right? But if the candle's not that big, then I'll do the whole candle.
Okay. Yeah.
So it just varies depending on the situation. So 525 and low is 422. 525 4. So normally if I'm dealing with the daily candles, I do the bodies usually. If it's like H1, and there's not much of a wick, then I'll use the whole candle. It's hard to explain, but it's just the way. Sometimes it just varies. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got 50% of that coming here. Okay, so if I just draw this out, and if I do that in black, okay, we've got that in black. Okay, let's just get rid of this. It's getting a bit messy. So what has price done? It's come down. Initially I was looking for longs here, and I got a long here, and we took out these stops here, low, and we came. So at this point it hadn't touched the H1 block. So if you go to the H1, at this point it hadn't touched the H1 block, right? But now it came down and touched the H1 block. So what I saw was, as soon as I saw price come down, take out this low, and then start pushing back up, as it was pushing back up, I got long, right? And I didn't want to see this low break.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got my stop loss below at 73.42. So that's below
Yeah.
the 50%. So if I mark out 73.42, so 73.42, 73.42. I'll do that in a different color, red. Show this. That's my stop loss, right? That red line there, and my entry is 73.54, which is I am a bit underwater at the moment. 73.54, right?
But you put your stop in a place where it shouldn't breach
Yeah,
that
I mean, if
50%.
I'm correct, right, it shouldn't go below this because this is where they previously bought to push the market up here.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for it to really take it low. I mean, yes, they can for stop rate purposes, but I'm seeing the H1 flow stay intact. And if let me just remove that for a second. If I draw this out here, a line here, you can see this is like see the bodies of the candles here: resistance, resistance, support, support. So this line here is acting as support, moved away, broke market structure, formed a block, and then back in. So it shouldn't get below this if I'm correct. Yes, it can. Sometimes market does that. Stops you out, but in the long run, when I'm following my rules, this is what works in the long run. So yeah, so this is where I'm long from. I'm just underwater at the moment, so it's coming into my entry level. My stop loss is there, so that's a 12 tick stop loss I've got.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking to my targets as I mentioned before. So we've got, so we took out this high yesterday or today. So if I mark out this here, so the high is 74.027, 74.027. Do that in black. Okay, and then it's 73.85, 74.85, sorry. The high here is 74.854, 74.854. Now let's go into here, right? Another reason why I think it's going to push up at least into this region here. It doesn't. I don't necessarily have to hold it for the whole target, but it's good risk to reward. Where I've entered, it's good risk to reward. It's over 10. If it works out, so from 73.54, what I got in at, say that's 134 ticks with a 12 tick stop. That's what 11R, 11R if it works out. So so now let's go to the 4-hour. And the 4-hour, see this, we've got a inefficient move here. So if I mark this out, inefficiency coming in at 74.50s. So if it's going to come this high, I think it's going to take out that there, but it's just reasons for price to push up into higher regions to fill in. We've got this inefficient move here to fill in.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it's going to do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a yearly chart as well, quarterly chart. So if I bring this over here, right, let's look at what's the yearly saying. So New Zealand.
But look at what that void fill on that chart that you got up.
So if we look on a 12-month chart, right? So on a yearly chart, it's looking like it's gonna want these stops there, and we've got a bit of a gap to fill in there.
Yeah.
So that comes in at 7600. But the high here, last year's high, is 74.85. That's why I've got that as my target. If we go to the 6-month, the way it's looking, we're above the open, we've wicked down, so possibly created the wick, and we're in the body of the candle now. So I'm expecting this high to be taken. So we've taken that high out, but this is the next stop, and then that gap fill there. So if we go to the quarterly, similar scenario where it's big bullish candle close there. So I'm expecting the next candle to be bullish. So we come down, took out that low there.
Yeah.
We took out the low of that high there. So this high, the candle of this high comes in at 73.756. So yeah, we've taken that out, but I mean, the way it's looking, it should push higher and push for these stops there. So yes, these are macro charts, but I'm just getting an overall bias because I'm expecting weaker dollar, and I'm expecting, I mean, looking at, so let's go back. So looking at Aussie dollar, I mean, Aussie dollars, it's been the one that's been rallying, it's been the stronger of the two.
Yeah.
And Kiwi is lagging, and I believe Kiwi is lagging because of Aussie New Zealand. So if they want to push Aussie New Zealand up, they gotta hold Kiwi or make it less stronger than the Aussie. and it's coming,
Right.
so it's coming into resistance here. So I believe, I thought we were gonna pause here yesterday, so I did a video and I thought, okay, it's coming to this resistance here, and it'll probably pause. I did just pause a
Yeah.
bit, but then it shot up again. So I mean, market doesn't move in one way. Yes, it does. It can go higher, but I really want to see some sort of pause now, and it makes sense because where Kiwi is at, you know, it's sort of, and with the price action I explained on there, it should let Kiwi rally at least. I mean, we've got Aussie job numbers tonight as well, so we'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
The reason why I haven't taken
Would
Aussie, sorry.
Sorry, I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you. You know, when you say pause, is that similar to creating a bit of a range?
Yeah, a bit of consolidation, or at
Ah,
least,
yeah.
or
Got
a
ya.
bit of a pullback at least. How
Yeah.
we moved up here, pullback, and then moved up here, a bit of a pullback. I mean, this
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
been really one way, really. So I think this Aussie New
Mm.
Zealand is the reason why New Zealand dollar's pausing. I mean, not moving as much. Um, so yeah, so I think the next target is around 1.08820. So let's see if it hits that. Let's see if Aussie New Zealand can pause and let Kiwi rally. So back to the New Zealand dollar. So like I explained, no, wrong New Zealand dollar chart. There's so many charts up. I need to clear this up. So here, back to the H1. So yeah, H1 here. So this movement up, I see that as a breaking market structure. Dip back down to reload. We took out the stops here. I need to see this start moving up now. I mean, if this gives in, then I'm probably going to stay on the sidelines, and if I switch to the 4 hour, it could possibly come into here. I don't want to see that, but it is what it is sometimes, and we don't get, market doesn't move exactly how we expect it, but that's why you manage your risk. But I'm showing this before the move is happening, so you've got my thought process beforehand. So far, has that made sense, and is there any questions you have?
No, that made sense. My only question was the slight pullback, which you explained clearly anyway.
Yeah.
And I know what you're going for. And also you explained the Aussie New Zealand, why Aussie's ripping so far ahead
Yeah.
in comparison. And no, that makes sense to me.
Okay, so we'll see what happens here. I mean, ideally, I do not want to see market go below the 50% of that H1 block, which is here. So if we look at it as a range
Yes.
perspective, this down move here. So to make sense of it all, this down move here caused the move
Yes.
up. So I'm expecting, the fair value or the 50% of that range to be the mean threshold, so it shouldn't really go below that, and it's coming around here. So if it doesn't touch it ideally and it goes up, that's perfect. So like I said, so I'm still expecting bullish prices. There's no reason for me to be bearish yet. Yes, it hasn't done what I expected to, but sometimes market is like that, and it just tests your patience. But this is where risk management comes in and patience comes in. You just gotta let the market do what it's gotta do. But I know my
Yeah,
invalidation.
patience a lot.
So my stop level is my invalidation level. If it hits my stop, I'm wrong. Yesterday when it stopped me up, but then it ripped, my stop was a bit too tight there. I was playing a bit too tight there, but this movement up here sort of is telling me that the buyers have stepped in. I mean, if I was short this market, I wouldn't be comfortable, because why hasn't it gone down by now? Do you know what I mean? It's still holding the
Yes.
support levels. It's just, I'm being I gotta say, sometimes emotion kicks in. No matter how much experienced you are, even now I get emotional sometimes over a trade, and I overthink it, and I expect it to go straight away, but it doesn't. Market will not. Market, you submit to the market. Market doesn't submit to you. So yeah. So the green line is my entry, 73.54. Stop at
Okay.
72.42, just under the block. Ideally, if it starts breaking below this, I'm going to close 50% of it, and the remainder I'll leave for the stop out. But let's see if it pushes back up. I think if it gets above here, then we're on, and I think that's when we'll start getting momentum. But everything to play for. So 74.85 is my target, and then after that it's going to be 7600, as I explained. But what we'll do, we'll see how market unfolds tonight. I think if it's going to move, it's going to move tonight, because it's been ranging, and ranges lead to consolidate
A
expansion.
big expansion.
Yeah, so we'll
Hopefully
see.
to that side.
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, I think tonight, we'll find out if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
But the way it's looking, so let me just test one more thing. I haven't seen this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's have a
okay.
look.
Yeah, so So when this happened here, I thought, okay, yes, we've got a nice, we've bottomed out here, but boom, back again. So yeah, it's all to play for. Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that this has been quite efficient. It's filled in the gaps here. So, and I know a lot of people see this as clean double bottom here, but if I look at an H1 basis, we've already taken out the stops here. So here, and then we've rallied away. This rally away is the telltale sign for me that it should go up now. Okay, so
Right.
a break of this level here, then I think we'll go lower. And at that point, I'm gonna stand aside the Kiwi. I just, it's just not making sense to me after that. So as long as it's making sense to me, I'll play it. The moment it stops, then I'll wait and let it make clear more sense. So is that clear so far? I've tried to explain the best I can.
That was a great insight. Perfect, and you've answered some stuff that I was thinking about. So I really appreciate it.
So
Much appreciated.
is
Thank
there
you.
any other questions you have?
For now, no, because you've answered the pullback, which I was unsure about, and also there's more of an insight that you showed on the 50% of what you normally do.
Okay.
With time, I'll understand that the more
Yeah.
you go through stuff.
I mean,
But
you're still new to this, so I'm just taking your baby
yeah,
steps at the time. So let's see how this unfolds. We've got our buy, we've got our sell here, and I mean stop here, and our targets. We'll see what
yes.
happens. So for now, I'll just stop the recording, and we'll continue next time. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.